Okay, everybody, this is an important recording because it is necessary that you do this assignment well. I say it's necessary less because it weighs so much on your grade and more that it weighs a lot on your learning. So let me share the screen and talk about the recording assignment. Students who have not done well on this recording assignment have not done well on comps consistently. If you don't take these seriously, if you don't do these in depth, it will show later in your performance in how well you integrate information, how well you are able to integrate your theory, integrate what you've learned in the program in your practice, in your understanding. These session recordings assignment, I would argue, are the most important assignments that you'll do in the program. That being said, this is what I'm expecting for the recording assignments. Let's go back to the syllabus. Let me pull this up. Okay. Video recordings. Students will produce 3 video recordings during this class, illustrating their attempts to counsel. You're going to illustrate to us through a video recording what you look like in session. The bigger part of that is not just to illustrate to us, me, faculty. It's to illustrate to yourself what you look like, which it feels like nails on a chalkboard, right? I hate watching these videos because, all right, you can always pick something out that's bothering you. Odds are it's bothering you, but it's probably not bothering someone else. But there are certain things you learn in strategies. There are certain things you're going to learn here in supervise. You being able to reflect and show me and show yourself what you're intentionally doing in session is vital to your success as a counselor. You aren't going to have me or anybody else, your supervisor, over your shoulder a lot of times in your sessions. It's going to be you and the client. Therefore, your self-awareness is key. You being aware of how you're presenting, of what's going on in your mind, is absolutely necessary for you to be a good counselor. The ability for you to self-correct is necessary. Therefore, these assignments are so important. You'll do a total of 9 total in the program, 3 here, 3 in your first practicum, 3 in your second practicum. You can't do these all in 1 week. I want you to spread these out throughout the semester. If you work too far ahead, I won't accept the assignment. You need to do these month to month to month. So one's due September, one's due October, one's due November. And it's necessary for you to receive feedback before you do your next one. Because when you receive feedback, you'll want to integrate that feedback you received from me. Let's talk more about them. Each session has to be a minimum of 20 minutes. Students that try to skimp, do 15 minutes or so, don't get a passing grade. You need to go at least 20 minutes. No, you're not going to get a C or above if you don't at least go 20 minutes. That's necessary. Other things are necessary. You're going to have to find somebody to record. The most logical step for these recordings is to reach out to folks in class. I'll open up a link for students to reach out to one another. You cannot, because at some point you all are going to be in class counseling each other, right? You cannot use the same person for recording that you're using as a client in the live classes. So this is once in a semester kind of relationship. So you'll want to have a relationship for 3 sessions. We'll want to see, besides just the initial rapport building, we'll want to see some theory integration toward the last one. So you'll want to see some progression in your counseling development through these 3. A lot of what's going to happen in the first recording will be a repeat of what you tried to do in strategies, except you're going to be observing yourself and critiquing how well you do on micro skills. Your next 2 sessions, your second and third recording for this class, you're going to be integrating more advanced skills. It's intentional to wait till October, till November, so we cover some of the theories, some of the more advanced skills. Once you record at least 20 minutes, 25 minutes, pick 5 to 7 minutes of the session, and you have to transcribe verbatim. And I'll show you what that looks like, a little bit more than even that's in the syllabus here, the interaction between you and the client. So, for instance, you'll create a dialogue. Counselor, you, thank you for coming to your session today. Seems like you're upset. Client, today's been terrible, well, awful, and then mumble, crying begin. I had a car accident this morning, and now my husband is going to be very angry. So, counselor, you had a car wreck. This is key. Don't just verbatim do, like give the words. What's the intention behind what you're saying, behind what you're doing? Maybe even describe you lean in. Lean in to show interest, to show empathy. Reflection of content. You had a car wreck. To show empathy. What happened? Open-ended question. Needed to encourage deeper disclosure. So you're describing what you're intentionally doing in session. When you mess up, because you will mess up, every one of you, show that in the reflection too. I didn't mean to do this, or this bothered me, or maybe I should have done this instead. I want to know what's going on in your mind in session. This is what you need to do. These are so important. I can't overemphasize enough the importance of this assignment, because it's been my experience now for teaching in the program for 5 years. When people don't take these assignments seriously, their counseling suffers, their grades suffer, their ability to pass comprehensive exams suffer. It really does. And maybe it's, maybe it's a thing where people just can't get that conceptualization. If you can't, that's necessary to know too. If you can't conceptualize what you're doing, you don't need to be a counselor. I'm sorry, I'm going to say it out loud. You need to be able to be self-aware of how you present, of who you are, of what's going on internally. Without this personal knowledge, you can do damage without even knowing you're doing damage. So these things are necessary. So this is, obviously, you're going to be doing more than just 4 sentences. You're going to pick 5 to 7 minutes of your 25 minute recording. And so it may be lengthy. It may be lengthy. Let me show you a couple of examples for this. So there were some students in the past that did okay with this. So and also this is so important for me to be able to understand where you're coming from. Look what the client, the counselor did here, saying at 7 minutes, 31 seconds into the session, they began their transcript. That's necessary. I will grade you down if you don't put this in your transcript. Counselor, so it sounds like you had a lot of things going on. You've been super busy, then you had these 2 days off. You weren't even days off because you had to do a bunch of things, and then things got flipped around. So can you tell me more about, you said on Monday that you're feeling down, and then last night you're also feeling down. So I would have some critiques for this. This doesn't include my feedback to the student. But here's what the student critiqued about themselves, about what they said. Here I need to stick with my gut and ask the question without backtracking. I agree. I need to be confident. Also, reflecting emotional content rather than just informational content would have been more appropriate. Love this. Love it. So even though the student didn't do as well as they wanted, even though the student didn't do as well as I know, They knew where they messed up. I should have done a feeling reflection. Or they look back on, I could have done something better. That's necessary. That sort of information is vital, is key. And so they go on and talk about the client. So, you know, this is what it needs to look like. And then at the end of this, not just did the counselor do this transcription for 7 minutes. Transcript ends at 14:35. The counselor then reflected overall on what they did the whole session. And so the counselor goes on for, you know, a couple pages here. You know, just a quick paragraph doesn't cut it. That you need to go into some depth on this 20-25 minutes to figure out, you know, what it was like for you, what it was like for your client. Here's another example. This one's probably a little bit too much, but you know, this is what this person did. Now, I would say this person did do too much this session because they went to 51 minutes. And that person got critiqued and graded down. It's not what you shouldn't be having a 50-minute session in this class. You know, maybe 30 minutes tops. But you can see that this person is doing kind of the same thing as the other student. So they're using in gray what they're reflecting on. I'm using previous communicated answers or in a session wherever possible to. So she's trying to do cognitive appraisals. You know, the clients. So she's trying to implement CBT here. The client's cognitive appraisal. This would be one of your second or third recording, and this is, I would say, where she's maybe a little bit too much. I could skip the ums and you knows. That's good. So she's recognizing where she's saying and you know, but she's also, you know, recognizing she's intentionally having an open-ended question. She's intentionally reflecting feeling. So those are the kind of things that are absolutely necessary for these assignments. I'm spending more time talking about this than I did the last class because I've learned as an instructor, these things are vital. These assignments, you've got to do well with these assignments. And so it says at the end of the assignment, provide a detailed, thorough summary that describes your strengths and weaknesses, as well as plans for growth in future sessions. So you're going to be assessed according to your conceptualization and self-awareness. Things that you recognize you're intentionally doing. So both good and bad. How well you define your own strengths and weaknesses. How well you incorporate micro skills, counseling techniques, and theories is required. And so you need to appraise these as well. How well are you doing just basic micro skills? Here's a rubric for these things here. Gang, I'll put this video out there in the class, but it's so necessary that you do well on these. And it's because I care about your development that I'm taking a little extra time for your class to make sure that, you know, these recorded sessions are done well. And so what you'll do is you'll click on this and you'll have a few things that you upload for me. So you're going to upload a document with your transcript. You're also going to provide a link to your OneDrive. These files are going to be too big to upload because they're videos. You're going to provide me a link to your OneDrive, and that's how I'm going to be able to see what you're doing. So, gang, if you have questions, please reach out. You see, even on the third recorded session, the class that I just had here wasn't getting it. A lot of people were not going into enough depth, so I went into a little bit more detail into what I was expecting. Anyway, whoa, this is interesting. I guess I will see you soon. Reach out if you have any questions.